This casting came to me as something of a trade with a subscriber. He got about 6 of my castings, the ones that I have done, and I got this Redline AMX that I've always wanted to do. I asked for it with Redline Day on my mind, and also because the window looked to be intact and the hood is still there. A real nice savings in both time and money. Whenever I'm going to do one of these, I have to make a choice at some point as to whether I'm going to polish it or base coat it. Each will yield acceptable results. And the other issue that you need to contend with is the corrosion. In the case of this casting, it's in pretty rough shape. And in that regard, I suspect that no matter what I do, polish or base coat, I'm probably going to lose the door lines. When I polish, I start with a wire brush just to get the casting clean. You're going to want to wear eye protection when you're doing this because these brushes tend to cast off small wires periodically. Then I'm going to move to files, and I own a variety of them of different grades and shapes. No matter what I am doing, a red line or something that I intend to polish for effect, if I want to use translucent paint, well, I have to remove as much of the defects as possible because translucent paint will show everything. Well, then I'll move on to the sandpaper. I generally find that 400 to 600 is a good starting point. I might do a little bit of work with maybe about a 1200, and then I'll move on to these sanding blocks. And I like these because they follow contours nicely. They come in a variety of grits from coarse to fine. I actually wash them to get the dust out of them, and I find they last actually a pretty long time. Then I move on to polishing with compounds like this one. I generally use 2 different grits, the second to the finest and the finest, and I do the polishing using one of these polishing wheels in my rotary tool. And then the last thing I do is polish it with metal polish using these little cottony polishing bits. I use Mother's Polish in a container. This size lasts a long time. Typically, I'll then rinse it with some lacquer thinner and a toothbrush. It seems like I use that for just about everything. And then I have these microfiber cloths that I'll use to put just like a final finish polish on it before I put it into the paint booth. So I thought I'd show you some of the steps and what I encounter as I go through them. The first one being right out of the stripper. And you can see the casting is pretty corroded and has a number of pits in it. The doors were cast into it, but if you look at one side, you can see that the corrosion has already obliterated a part of the door on that side. You can also see here on the hood some damage that's really common to Hot Wheels of this vintage that, comes from opening the hood. The base is also in dire straits. There are so many nicks that it will be impossible to take them out and keep the contours of the bumper, but that's actually a different video. So after working on it with the files, I have a basic shape for the casting, and yes, this one will be a smoothie because the door lines are gone. I also wound up straightening the area between the hood and the windshield, which was caved in just a bit, as well as the roof, which always scares me because Hot Wheels break so easy. At this point, I had done quite a bit of sanding, and you can start to see a shine coming through. Often I'll sand with paper, then I'll use a block, then I'll go back to the paper. If I see a rough spot, go back to the block, etc. Priming the casting is also a good practice. It will help you see more clearly just where you need to work. At this point, I actually begin polishing it, and I move back to sanding if I need to, and then back to polishing. And everything I've shown you here is available on Amazon and probably 100 other places. So while there may be an initial investment and some ongoing costs, nothing is too extreme. You're going to have to wait until Tuesday to see what color I painted it. Sorry. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is Time Rider, and I'll leave the light on for you.